And our industry lost 60 to 70% of our brothers and sisters out there recruiting. Now, most of them did not go to the unemployment line. They went and joined our client company's internal recruiters. So now we have more competitors at our internal recruiters than we ever did before.
Today we're going to talk about song. The theme of this talk today is a song to sing. Through the beginning of time, believe it or not, there's always been song for almost every occasion, hasn't it? I mean, when the wheel was made, I'm sure they had a song. I'm sure there was. I mean, every occasion we have, from birthdays, anniversaries, unfortunately funerals, a song is sang, and people dance, don't they? And people dance. And when we're happy, absolutely. And when we're happy, we sing and we dance. When great wars happened, believe it or not, all over the world, there were songs that were sung during these wars. But here's the question I have for you. Here's your question. What was your song in 2009? Was it Celebrate Good Times, Come On? Maybe? Or was it The Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald? And it could have been either or. And you know, our industry took a pretty big hit in 2009. It was very, very difficult. So what we're going to do today is have a little bit of fun. We're going to hear some music, get a little crazy. We're going to kind of take a lesson on what happened in 2009, because 2009 was tough. And there was 5 major shifts that happened last year that I'm not sure will ever change again. Our industry has changed for good. And I want to go through those things to see what we need to do to get better at what we do. Because I tell you what, we lost a lot of our brothers and sisters, didn't we? You know, I think we had a bad year. How about some industries have a bad year? How about the automotive industry? Tough year? A little bit, maybe? The government took it over. Of course it was a tough year. Banking industry, government took it over. Almost every industry was not untouched by this recession that we had. Our industry was devastated as well. So what we're going to talk about is what those 5 shifts that actually happened last year. It was just terrible, unbelievable. But also we're going to talk about what we can do to ensure 2010, and the song we sing for 2010 is the song you want it to be, not the song that happens to you, which is so critical. You know what, if we take a look at it, unemployment rate went through the roof, didn't it? Unemployment rate hasn't stopped yet. And here's what's going on. Last month, the unemployment, even though we gained 240,000 jobs, you guys read the reports, unemployment went from 9.7 to 9.9. When unemployment rate goes up, our industry does what? It typically goes down. So we really need to watch that. But 2009 was all about unemployment rate going through the roof. So that's one of the things we need to do to take a look at what happens to make sure we combat that issue, because that's going to be a problem in 2010 too. And we'll talk more about that this afternoon. So unemployment rate's going to be crazy. And Dustin and Win is a song we're playing here, but you know, it was almost like that. It was crazy. And then another major thing happened in 2009, which is our industry itself, our profession. It actually contracted. Isn't that a nice way of saying it was devastated? Contracted. Yeah, our sales contracted just a little bit. And my daughter said, you know what? I may want to be a recruiter. And I say, there's no way to be a recruiter now.
Mamas, don't let your babies grow up to be recruiters. Don't let them pick up the phone and call the most smart. Let them be doctors and lawyers and such. Mamas, don't let your babies grow up to be recruiters. 'Cause they're always on the phone and they'll bitch and they'll moan. Never when to talk when they're home.
Not only did industries and the government take over industries in 2008, 2009, but our candidates had major problems. The financial well-being of Americans today went down significantly. Getting somebody to pass a credit check or even get enough money on a credit card to get a flight to an interview today is very difficult.
And then also another trend in 2009 happened, obviously, is the financial health of our candidates. And this is the scariest point that's happened to our industry right here. Forget the unemployment rate, because we can survive an unemployment rate that's going crazy. But our candidates' financial health is going to be very difficult. How many of you actually move people from place to place? I'm in a healthcare IT market with Tiffany, and we actually have to move people 50% of the time. Well, what problems are we running into now? Houses are underwater. You know, other hospitals right now, during an interview, won't have somebody go to the interview unless they'll pay for it themselves first, then get reimbursed. Why? Because they've been screwed so many times by people not paying. So what's going on now is they're saying, well, wait a minute. I need you to front this up front, and then we'll pay you when I get there. But guess what? The candidates don't have the money. They don't have a credit card with $300 on it now to allow them to go to an interview. That's what's happening right now. I've never seen it before like this in my life. The first quarter of this year, I placed 2 people, director level, $150,000 or more, who had jobs that declared bankruptcy. They declared bankruptcy in the last 3 months. Now, they go to do a background check. Hiring manager says, is there anything in the background I should know about? Let me find out real quick with the candidate. Mr. Candidate, is there any problems with your background? Do a quick background check. Well, funny story, John. I had a bankruptcy about 2 weeks ago. What? So we need to know more about that. Probably the biggest change our industry is going through right now is that specific issue that's happening. And the recruiters scurrying for new markets everywhere. Everyone's trying to get to a new market right now. Or were, because they're saying, well, you know what? My manufacturing is dying. I'm not seeing more going on in manufacturing, or my printing marketplace, or whatever it was before. So now I'm looking for a new marketplace. And everybody's going to the new and greatest thing, like green energy. Or maybe now it's oil cleanup. New energy, something else that's going on besides the one they're in. And we saw that happening in 2009. Also, we saw our clients saying, okay, John, I'd love to use you, but guess what? You know what? Things are kind of tough. I'm actually thought of giving you my resume because I'm looking for a new job. We've already laid off 100 people. We got another 10% cut. I think I may be next. So we're not using recruiters. Matter of fact, can I send you people? That's what we were hearing last year. Think about that. How about this year, what we're hearing? Right now, what's going on is our clients are saying this. You know, things are picking up just a little bit, but you know what? They're not picking up that much. We may have an opening, but you know what? I'm going to use internal recruiting to try to fill that first. Anybody hear that? Is that crazy? Is that what we're hearing? So we have some things we need to work on that's going on right now in our marketplace that we got to take the bull by the horns and run with and deal with as we go on. And these actually gave us 5 major shifts in the marketplace. And here's the things that I want everybody to pay a lot of attention to, because this is what changed the game for us and will have changed the game forever in recruiting. The first thing, use of technology. Who uses LinkedIn today? All right. Who uses Google for search and Yahoo for search? And guess what? So does our clients now. We thought we had the greatest tool in the world, LinkedIn, didn't we? Oh, I got LinkedIn, I can get a hold of new people. Oh my gosh. And then who's the first person you link to? Your clients. So guess what? They got everybody you do too. So all this great technology, yeah, they got it as well. So the use of technology went through the roof. And not only the use of search technology, but social media. Who doesn't have a Facebook account? Don't raise your hand, please. Don't even raise your hand if you don't have a Facebook account, please. Don't want to embarrass you in the crowd. Thanks, Jim. Thanks for raising your hand. I appreciate that. But think about that. Social media is going through the roof, and it's because of the X and Y generation using technology. Now everybody's getting Facebook accounts. Nobody even heard of MySpace lately. They're so far gone, it's ridiculous, unless you're in high school, obviously. But right now, Facebook is it, going to different social media. Everybody's getting a Twitter account and tweeting all day long. So the speed of technology is going through the roof, and it's going to continue and continue and continue. So adopting this technology is going to be critical for us as recruiters to use every technology we can to get a hold of people we need to, specifically as the X and Y generation coming into the marketplace. And you know what? Technology changed this as well, which is a time to fill metric. Now the time to fill metric is how long it takes you need to actually fill a job. Time to fill doesn't mean the time you get somebody to the time they're hired. What time to fill I mean here is, before 2 years ago, you could actually wait 3 weeks, 4 weeks to send a candidate in. But because of technology, you can't wait 4 days if you're on a contingent search to send candidates in. Because what happens if you don't send candidates quickly today? Doesn't get filled. Internal hiring manager fills it. They use LinkedIn and somebody responds to a LinkedIn posting on a group. All that can be done very quickly now, so the time to fill metric went from 3 to 4 weeks to 3 days now.
The processes that you establish are imperative to be successful in this new environment. Because of the technology, the speed of recruiting increased. So the delivery can't be 2 or 3 weeks with candidates. It has to be 2 or 3 days. And the only way to do that is get defined processes for recruiting, defined process for business development to make sure you're successful in this marketplace.
Now we have to be better and faster at what we do in our marketplace. That's a shift that's not changing either, folks. That is not going backwards. We're never going to have the luxury of taking 3 to 4 weeks to deliver quality candidates. Unless you get a retained search or money down, that's not happening again. It's a big change that's happening to our marketplace because of technology. And clients are being so careful, very, very careful. Matter of fact, they're changing. And they're saying, I want to use internal recruiting instead of external recruiting. Oh my gosh, what do we do? And what do you say? A lot of us don't even know what we say. So we got to be ready for this stuff. You know, and we got to make sure that they don't pull your love for this stuff. You guys with me? Here we go. Don't pull your love out on me, baby. If you do, then I think maybe I'll just lay it down. Cry for 100 years. I didn't write this song, by the way. Don't pull your love out on me, honey. Take my heart, not my soul, my money. And don't leave me here drowning in my tears. You say you want to change. Gonna use your recruiting staff. Gonna fly me right out of here without a single laugh. But you know you'll break my heart when you see me walking out that door. Cause I won't get a chance to work with you anymore. Come on, you know the words for this, such a great tune. Don't pull your love out on me, baby. Till you think, maybe I'll just lay it down. Cry for 100 years. Don't pull your love out on me, honey. Take my heart, my soul, my money. But don't leave me here drowning in my tears. They paid so much for this entertainment, guys. They really did. It's really unbelievable what they went through. But guys, what we have to do is be ready for this, because now they're doing anything they can to reduce cost. And they're thinking, what's my best alternative? Because you know what? My recruiter does the same thing I do. The same thing they do, I can do now with all the technology. So what's our value proposition going forward? So don't let them pull your love when it comes to your accounts that are out there. And we've got to be careful.
Over the last few years, technology has went through the roof. What that meant to the recruiting industry is that now we have access to people that we never had access to before. And the speed of recruiting increased dramatically.
How many unemployed recruiters are there right now? Thousands, guys. Thousands of unemployed recruiters out there. So they can get good recruiters and bring them internal. And guess what? They already have a LinkedIn account. They know how to use Monster. They use Career Builder, Dice, Job Tracker, all the things that are out there they already know. And they can get them dirt cheap. They can get them dirt cheap. So now we have more competitors coming in from anywhere ever in the history before. And we've got to be prepared for that. And what's the value? What are the value we bring to the table? What are we doing differently so they're going to use my services over everybody else that's out there, the internal staff? Because they can pay $24,000, $35,000 a year, use these internal recruiters. Why would they pay a $25,000 fee for you for one placement? Why would they do it? So those are the things that are going on in our marketplace we got to pay attention to. Then our candidate woes. Oh my gosh, they can't move. And over 50% of the people right now are lying on their resumes. They are. They have bankruptcies, and they got bad credits, and they got all sorts of things. Whatever it is. So we got to be extra careful and suspicious. Very suspicious. Here's what you got after. We're caught in a trap. Elvis, baby. And I can't walk out, right? Why? Because I love you too much, baby. Right? We do, these candidates. So why can't you see what you do to me? When you guys know the words. When I can't believe a word you say. And we can't believe these guys, can we? We can't go on together with suspicious minds. We can't either, I'm done. And we can't build our dreams on suspicious minds. So we have to ask tough questions, you guys. And this is one thing that we're being burnt by more than any place else. These candidates are not qualified. And we finally have a candidate, we finally have a match, we put them all together, and then what happens at the end of the process? They drop out because they can't move. I want to take you back to the bare essentials of what we do. I said this a couple weeks ago. Is there a career that's better than what we have here? Let me define this first of all. We can take an individual, change their lives overnight. Now, I've probably been involved in placing 1,200, 1,300 people, whatever it's been in the last 12, 13 years. It's a lot. I know I've changed for the better, not all of them. I wish I could tell you that. 90% hopefully that their lives went better off. But you can make an impact on somebody's life almost overnight on what we do. I mean, a company's better off. You get an A player, bring to a company, you can change a company overnight, can't you? As a recruiter, you can do those things. It's unbelievable. You know what? Also, from an individual, I've taken people and changed their lifestyle overnight. Who's got gifts? They sent you different gifts and cards and emails thanking you for what you've done because you changed your life so much. We've all got that, and that's what you do. Now, what other field would be better than that? What's a better field than actually changing a company overnight and changing a candidate's life? There's like nothing but. Now, if you're curing little kids of cancer and you're a doctor, you win. That's a better career than we've got, probably. It really is. But other than that, we've got the wonderful career as a recruiter. Yeah, we had some tough times here this last year. And we're going to experience probably a little more adversity going on this year. But I'm telling you what, there's not a better career field than what we have right here. There is not. And it's all up to you about your attitude. Think about it. The attitude you have every day. Probably the best story I want to bring out here is we went through a year of hell. We really did. Things are going south on us. We had a year of people quitting. Your neighbors were gone. We come in one day, your neighbor's gone the next day because they weren't making recruiting, weren't making enough money, they were fired, something happened. So unfortunately, that was what happened last year. Your performance, believe it or not, was a lot based on your attitude and how you addressed the adversity that came in. You'll see at the top of most major organizations and the top 50 people in business today that their attitudes are unbelievable. And your attitude will help you through anything. Your attitude will help you determine how far you go in this field. Your attitude will determine how well everybody likes you, believe it or not, and wants to hang with you because your attitude is catchy just like the flu. So your attitude is so critically important, and we need to make sure we watch it as we go on.
So I have a question for you. What's the one thing that's going to keep you motivated to achieve any goal that you set? What's the one thing that you're going to have to do to allow you to get up in the morning when you don't feel like it? Walk through a brick wall if you have to. Climb any mountain that you need to climb. Well, for most people, it's your why. That specific reason you have in mind that's going to keep you motivated to do anything in the face of any adversity. By putting together the proper why, you'll climb any mountain you want to climb and achieve any goal you want to achieve.
Before we set goals, the thing that probably changed my life dramatically was when I learned about the why thing. What's your why? And I first heard about this. Kent Burns came out with it, and he said, John, tell me about your why. And I said, what do you mean, Ken? I don't even know what you're talking about. What's your why? So we started talking about it, and here's what he meant. What is the thing that you've defined that keeps you doing what you're doing? Let me repeat that. What's the thing that'll have you walk through a brick wall? What's the thing that's going to keep you moving forward towards your goals? What is that thing? Let me give you a quick example. You guys probably heard I'm a pole vaulter. I was a 2004 National Masters champion outdoors, and I just won the indoor championship, National Masters Championship in March. And believe it or not, guys, pole vaulting, I did it in college, so I started doing it again. And the quick story is this. Good friend of mine, Jeff Swanson, lifelong friend, him and I were pole vaulters as kids. We started crossing creeks when we were 5 and 6 years old with poles and sticks, and we'd fall in and get all wet and have all sorts of fun. Those are the times when you go away from home and mom wouldn't care. Remember those times? Back then it was a lot of fun. So we grew up pole vaulting. We went to high school pole together. I was state champion, he was state champion one year, then we went to college. He had a full ride to Saginaw Valley, I went to Michigan State. We pole vaulted against each other. Got married, he was in my wedding. He got married, was in his wedding. I moved down all over the place, to Toronto, I moved all over. But actually ended up in Ohio, where I have my farm. I live on my farm in Ohio. So he calls me up 6 years ago, right before I turned 40, and said, John, I said, Jeff, what is going on? He said, hey, let's pole vault. Let's start pole vaulting again. I said, why? I mean, that's kind of it's going to hurt. I mean, running as fast as you can, holding on to the end of a pole, something's going to fall off. And there's certain things I don't want to fall off right now. They eventually may, but I don't want them to. So he said, yeah, there's a series of masters events at over 30 years old, you can compete again. And you'll compete against all our college buddies. I said, that sounds great. I can't wait to do it. So we started doing that. And it was so fun because he lived in Michigan, I lived in Ohio. We started going back and forth together. And we got our kids involved. My son Aaron got involved, and his son Tyler got involved. So we'd see these guys once a month. We'd call each other on how we're doing. Hey, I just lost 5 more pounds. Well, cool, I just did this. I just did this many pull-ups. So it was a great event that we actually had. And then the worst thing in the world happens. I got a call. It was 1 month before our indoor meets, and the call was about the accident. Jeff was in a horrendous car accident, 3 cars. His wife broke 8 to 12 ribs. I'm not sure how many it was, but she couldn't walk for a long time. His mom dislocated a shoulder, and they looked so bad. They looked so bad. And then son Tyler, the love of his life, died instantly. So, I don't know if you know anybody who ever lost a child before, but nobody ever recovers. The worst funeral I've ever been to in my life, and I went to see Jeff and Tammy in the hospital, because they are both still in a hospital, screwed up, even days after this thing. And Jeff disappeared from life. He was a purchasing manager at General Motors, and he disappeared. He went away, and it went into a shell and didn't come out. So, here I am, we were having this wonderful event, a dream, getting back in shape, having fun with my best friends in my whole world. A son dies, and life changed. And you know what? I, at that moment, decided that I'm not pole vaulting for me. I'm pole vaulting for Jeff, to get him back into life again. I made it a point that I'm going to get Jeff back into life by doing what I'm doing. I'd call him every week. Jeff, here's what's going on. Here's what I did. Here's a practice. Then my first meet, by the way, I won on my first jump. First meet was a Michigan Open. Won on my first jump, went a little higher, had a great time, told him all about it. And every week or two, I'd call him. He'd come a little bit back into life, a little bit back into life, a little bit back into life. And then when I won national championships, apologize here, guys. My first thought wasn't, I'm happy I won. It wasn't, but because I did beat the world record holder, by the way, national championships. But I did it for him. It wasn't for me. And if it was for me, I don't know if the results would have been the same. Guys, that's the why. It's finding the why you do things. And if you could take the power of the why and develop it. And the why's best when it's not about you. The why's best when it's about your kids or somebody you know or a purpose in life that's bigger than you, all right? Why am I telling you guys this story? Guys, this is a secret to life and achievement right here. It really is. Because once you find out what your why is, you really find out what that why is. Anything's possible. Anything is possible. Develop that why, guys, guess what? You can then set any high goals you want to set. Set them as high as you want to set because you'll be able to achieve anything. And it'll be fun because you're doing it not for you, you're doing it for somebody else. And if you guys want to do $1 million a year, you certainly can. And you'll be singing a new song as it comes on. You with me here? Here you got Frank Sinatra. You wouldn't know who he is today if he didn't go through that trials and tribulations. 40s and 50s did well, 50s to 60s struggled big time. To come up with this song, guess what, guys? That was a catalyst to remake his career. Movies, you name it, songs. And he sang concerts till he was 88 years old, changed the world, guys. That is unbelievable. And that's what you guys can do as well. There was one thing here that I want to talk about that's very important. We got nothing from my presentation today. John Eckberg wrote a book called The Success Effect. I had him on my radio show at Fox. I had a 3-year radio show on Fox called Talent Wins. And he wrote a book, and I had him come to my radio show, and I said, tell me about this book. And John said, well, this book is really about the 50 top business trailblazers in the world. Donald Trump, Oprah Winfrey, Rosa Parks, even social change. And he interviewed 50 people. And what he wanted to find out is what made them tick, what they listened to, what the DVDs they saw, what CDs they had in their CD player. And I said, John, bottom line it for me, will you? Just bottom line it for me. What's the one thing that made them who they are? Because they changed the world. Luga Sturtner, IBM today wouldn't be what they are without Luga Sturtner. All these folks, I said, what's that one thing? He said, it was simple. I said, what is it? I think it's on the screen already. They had a healthy bit of self-confidence and a strong self-image. So wait a minute, they were confident. He said, no, they weren't just confident. At some point, somebody in their lives had dramatically given them self-confidence by encouraging them. It was a grandmother, it was a mother, it was a father, it was somebody that they knew, it was a boss when they were young. It was somebody who instilled this unbelievable amount of self-confidence. I didn't believe it, guys. I went and did the research. I went through 50 different pieces of research to see what self-confidence will do. Now, here's what self-confidence does in children. Number one, almost every problem kids have, from bulimia to bullying syndrome, to alcoholism, to drug abuse, all those things are related to self-esteem. A low self-esteem is self-confidence. All of that stuff. Guys, if you learn anything from me today, take this home. Go home, take your kids, give them a huge hug. If you can instill the self-confidence and make them think that they're unstoppable, which they are if they have self-confidence, our world will be a different place. Would you agree? Think about what our world would be today if we just did that with our children. Give them a hug, tell them you love them, and tell them they can achieve anything in life. Because if they do that, guess what? This world is a different place. And that's what it's all about. Now let's move that to our office. It's up to us now to help each other in our office, isn't it? Our person next to us who's struggling, but he sounds good, but they're struggling a little with self-confidence. If you're the manager, I love the Sully effect. You guys know what the Sully effect is? Sullenberger, who flew the airplane on the Hudson River, you know, and the Fox News reporter came up to Sully and they said, well, I mean, geez, this was traumatic. You had both engines going out. I mean, oh, what do you do as a pilot? And I'm thinking, I'm a pilot. What do? You start praying, grab the Bible, you know. There's nothing much that you can do. That's exactly it. But he said, well, you know what? They said, how'd you feel? And Sully said, on the inside, I was scared to death. I was absolutely scared to death. Matter of fact, I pretty much thought none of us were going to survive. And then, but on the outside, he says, I was smooth as glass. There's a lesson there. Even though we go through these times and adversity, and the report that's going to come out next month is going to be bad in terms of unemployment rate, because it will, you know what? We have to have confidence ourselves, instill confidence in everybody else. And if we're feeling bad, keep it inside, be smooth as glass on the outside, specifically of your manager. Because we need all to get through these things if we can. We really need to do that. We are the champions, my friend. Everybody sing! Woo! To the end. And I think you can achieve anything, guys, by focusing on what we do. And this can be your song. We're not only champions of the state or the country, we're the champion of what? Of the world! Thank you, guys! Woo!
Another round of applause for John Bartos.